Hello, everybody, and welcome in. I'm Griffin.
And I'm John.
And as always, we have a very full episode for you, including Eurobike, one of the industry's biggest trade shows, but is it in trouble?
Sadly, that might be the case.
Also, we're going to look at bikes we recommend if you have to hike them up some stairs.
Give you a hint, it's got to be light.
That's right. And bikes we like for big and tall riders, primarily riding on throttle-only power.
We have tons of e-bike recommendations in the Q&A section of this episode of the Weekly Recharge.
All right, diving straight into the news here with our leading story of Eurobike. So Bosch and two major trade associations have parted ways with Eurobike, so the future is a little uncertain where it's going to go from here. So this was once the premier trade show of the whole world, really. Eurobike did struggle, however, this last year in attendance compared to the year before. It still featured 1,500 exhibitors, though, and over 60,000 attendees, so it's not like it's entirely died off by any means.
Sure.
However, it did have some noticeable missing groups this year, like SRAM, DT Swiss, Pond Bike, and Campagnolo, all skipping the event. Now, it seems to be losing even more support with European cycling industry types pulling out of the show. In an article from Bicycle Retailer, a joint statement from Ziv and I'm going to try my hardest, John, Zukunft Farad, the two biggest trade associations of germinating, thank you, Gesundheit, said the following. Following lengthy discussions with the Eurobike operators, we have decided to end our cooperation. We could not see that both operators were equally committed to supporting the measures that would be necessary to make the trade fair fit for the future of the bicycle industry. And the show has also seen Bosch pull away, which is, of course, one of the premier names in e-bike motors. The CEO of Bosch e-bike systems, Klaus Fleischer, said that after extensive discussions with Eurobike, they no longer saw a successful future for Eurobike, according to a Pink Bike article.
That's disappointing.
So there will still be a 2026 show, although it is shaping up to be a smaller event in terms of exhibitors, and it is now 4 days instead of 5. So some have suggested that part of the downward trend could be due to the fact that no one really knows what the show fully is anymore, because there is kind of lack of clarity. Is it a trade show? Is it a consumer festival? Is it Mobility Expo? And it's kind of struggling to be all of them at once in like some respects. Now, our own Justin was actually at Eurobike last year and was pretty impressed with it and all of the offerings that there were there. But, again, seems to be a little bit on the decline. So some questions I've got, is this going to be a good thing for, the Otter Classic here in the States? Is this going to be a boon for China Cycle? Are we going to see vendors go, to other shows or maybe put more importance on those ones? Or is this just going to be a good thing with major players dropping off of Eurobike? Does this just give more room for smaller up-and-coming things to shine? I guess time will tell, but kind of interesting development for Eurobike there.
It definitely is. I mean, I feel like things just naturally evolve in unexpected ways sometimes, and I think that might be the case here, but we'll see how it plays out. But anyway, our next story is from the state of California. So their e-bike incentive project has been retired very quietly in favor of a hybrid or EV car initiative. So the program initially had $30 million in funding to apply towards vouchers for e-bikes. And the goal of the program was to give low-income residents a chunk of money toward the purchase of an e-bike, somewhere between $1,000 and $2,500, depending on where they lived and the e-bike that they were purchasing. So the program was originally planned to launch in 2022, but there were a bunch of delays that pushed it back to 2024. And so then when it launched the first time, there were only 1,500 vouchers, and the website crashed because there were just so many people trying to apply for it. It could not handle that load. But then some vouchers did end up getting distributed at the end of the year. But then there was a more I guess more attempts this year. The first of those was also delayed due to some technical issues that wouldn't let people into the waiting room online. But then the most recent attempt, which was back in May, actually went relatively smoothly, but there was still only a very limited supply of vouchers, so most of the applicants didn't get them. So the program, up until recently here, used about $13 million of its total $30 million. But the organization that runs or ran it, called the California Air Resources Board, basically just redirected the remaining funds of $17 million to a new program called Clean Cars for All. And it has a similar goal, just cars instead of bikes, basically to make low and no emission vehicles more accessible and affordable to low income residents. So that organization didn't make any statement about the fact that the e-bike incentive program was going away. But yeah, I mean, it's disappointing to say the least. I mean, the goal of reducing emissions in cars is great, but we support bikes. We like seeing people out on bikes. It's an alternative mode of transport. It's more affordable. Just kind of.
It's kind of a bummer to see it like taken, this is going from the mouths of bikes into the mouths of cars instead, basically.
Exactly.
Here, which is kind of, I'm very torn on this. On the one hand, I drive an electric vehicle myself. I'm pro EVs in that regard. At the same time, though, I'm pro bike. I think there's health benefits there. There is, society could stand to benefit a little bit from a more balanced approach of how much we emphasize cars and bikes.
Totally.
Pretty torn on this decision. Would have preferred to see it stay a bike dedicated program, seeing 13 of those 30 million funds go towards bikes. Didn't even get quite halfway. And especially if you're comparing things for the affordability sake, the more affordable e-bike is always going to be far less expensive than the most affordable car. So if you really want to help the low income ones, I still feel like bikes are a great way to do that. Again, overall, I'm kind of torn. You guys let us know what you think about the shift in funds, especially like Californians out there watching, and let us know your take on it as well.
Yeah, I feel like, California is a big state. There's a lot of people that live there. So the more residents that could have been put on bikes, that would have encouraged the growth of better infrastructure. But, maybe that's not the case going forward. It seems like they learned a lot of lessons during the delayed implementation of this program, but I personally was hoping to see them apply those to making it better in the future, but maybe it'll come back. We'll see.
I was like, fingers crossed on that front.
Yep.
There is a new bike to talk about this week, and that is
Two new bikes.
Yeah, that's
actually.
right. We'll start things off with the Tenways Wayfarer. So this is the latest cruiser model from them. Looks like a nice all-arounder too. It's available in two different colors, a silver and blue. It is a step-through bike, and Tenways is using a 500-watt nominal hub motor this time for the first time, and a 750-watt peak and 65 newton meters of torque, so good amount of power here. So additionally, it also includes 28 mile per hour top speeds, 720 watt hour battery with range up to 85 miles with help from a torque sensor, a suspension fork and suspension seat post, has an adjustable stem for dialing in the fit, comes with hydraulic brakes, an MIK rear rack, and 27.5 by 2.6 all-terrain tires. Also has a little bit of security with Apple Find My built in, and there's a new Tenways app as well that looks to be compatible with the bike.
Interesting.
So early bird pricing has it at $18.99 right now. So looks like pretty good and fair pricing in today's terms.
Yeah.
And John and I have had a not so secret soft spot for the Tenways Ego X, and we've also been really impressed with the Seago 600 Pro. So we've been fans of Tenways bikes in the past, have high hopes for this one as well, just being a good, smooth, solid all-around ride.
Yeah, this reminds me maybe a little bit of the U-Free Solar Sparrow that you reviewed earlier this year, and also the Velotric Breeze one. So hopefully, if it continues in that vein and in Tenways path.
And yeah, some of those lighter cruisers that are still like highly capable, like the definition of cruiser, it's not like all about like super relaxed whatever anymore. You can get a lot done on them. So yeah, hopefully it kind of like meets standards of those other ones.
Fingers crossed that we get our hands on it soon.
That's right.
But anyway, Marin Bikes announces the Lombard E-Road gravel bike. So this is based on the analog Lombard, or Lombard. Pronunciation is not my strong suit. Anyway, so that bike started as a road bike, but kind of evolved over time for multi-surface riding. It originally was released in 2019. So this new electric version of the bike has a Bosch drive system that features an SX Sprint motor that has 60 newton meters of torque and 600 watts of peak power. And then it is also paired with a integrated 400 watt hour battery. And Marin made a statement about the bike that says, "This isn't just a gravel bike with a motor slapped on. It's a multi-surface drop bar dream machine that laughs at all terrain changes." Pretty bold there, but it also said, "With this kind of power and versatility, the world literally opens up to your wheels, and that's the whole point," which I thought was pretty cool. So some other specs here. This bike also has a 28 mile per hour top speed. There's an aluminum frame with a carbon fork, so pretty interesting there. Up to 50 millimeters of tire clearance, so plenty of room for larger gravel tires. You have 4 frame sizes: small, medium, large, and extra large. And then it's just loaded with mounts for water bottles, bags, whatever you want to equip your bike with. And then there are 2 builds here. So the base model is the Lombard E1 that is going to be priced at $42.99. That one has a 12-speed Shimano GRX drivetrain and then Shimano GRX hydraulic disc brakes. But then there's the higher end model, the Lombard E2, that's $1,000 more. And that one has the Shimano Di2 wireless shifting setup there, as well as a Trans X dropper seat post. These are not yet available for purchase. I was looking at Marin's website yesterday, and it featured a Lombard, but it was only the analog one. So hopefully we will see this one soon. And I imagine that Mike, our fellow reviewer here over at EBR, he is our gravel guy, and I think he's going to be stoked for this one.
I'm sure he's looking at this with a lot of hunger. I think it's really interesting just overall that motor power we're talking about, 600 watt peak, 60 Newton meters. I remember early on, the road and gravel crowd, it was all about keep weight as light as humanly possible, just add another 10-20% of boost to what a rider can already do. I feel like it's kind of following a similar trend with mountain bikes, where it's okay, well let's try giving people even more power. Maybe they're going to enjoy that. We're starting to see that creep up and up and up, and I'm very curious to see how this one does, because 60 Newton meters, 600 watts on a road and gravel bike, you can do a lot of fun stuff with that. So very interested to see this one when it's fully available.
I'm curious to see what the weight is going to end up being, and
me too.
I'm also happy to see, at least from the photos anyway, that it looks like the battery is removable for charging, which I feel like you don't often run into with lighter weight bikes.
As a hit or miss on those ones, so
pretty interesting. But anyway, that does it for this week's news. Griffin, right. I know you're sad about this, but
not sad about nothing.
It's the trivia section, and Griffin lost last time, so he's got to wear the electric biker board helmet.
Still think it's a dunce cap. Think it's a helmet of pride, but whatever. That's fine. I will.
That was the initial idea.
Someone tightened this down weirdly. Okay, that's ripping my head off.
Either that or you've had too many Reese's.
Too many Reese's? I went to my head? All right.
We've all had too many Reese's this week.
Anywho, all right, time to play trivia here in the office, and you can follow along at home to test your industry knowledge. Christina, leading us off, what is our first question?
All right, number 1. What year was Eurobike started?
Ooh.
A, 1987, B, 1999, C, 2003, or D, 1991?
Okay.
And flip it.
Both of you are correct. D, 1991.
Nice.
Great year. I was born that year.
Oh, you're such a baby. You're such a baby.
34 years old.
All right.
Okay. Ready for question number 2?
Mm-hmm.
How many people attended China Cycle 2025?
A lot.
A, 82,000. B, 156,000. C, 275,000, or D, 112,000? Well, we know 2 people. Oh, wait, Michael, they didn't go to China Cycle.
No, they went to China Cycle.
Oh, they did, didn't they?
So I can guarantee it's at least 2.
So it's at least 2.
Okay.
Oh, we got differing opinions. Griffin takes the lead.
Dang it.
B, 156,002 people that we know.
That we know, yeah.
2 for Griffin.
It's all right. I'm coming back.
1 for John.
1-1, or 2-1.
Just keeping his helmet warm for you, buddy. It's going to be back on your head before I know it.
All right. What is the largest cycling festival in the United States currently?
I can't write this whole thing upside down.
This is going to be good. I hope one of them's backwards.
It's not. Okay.
And a flippity flip.
Yes.
Very
Sea
good.
Otter Classic.
He didn't put classic, so his is not technically
His is not
correct.
right.
He just listed down
Yeah,
some
the answer says Sea Otter
aquatic animal
Classic.
thing.
I'm impressed you didn't misspell any of those words. Have you ever been to the restaurant where people have to write their name upside down? Because
No.
the paper they have paper on the tables?
Yeah.
I was always impressed with those people. It was like an Italian restaurant in Portland.
More power to him.
Have you ever written your name upside
No.
down? Oh, okay.
Never
I
needed
did a game
to.
where you have to do it in a mirror, using the mirror. But anyway. All right, next one.
Okay. Who is the largest bicycle manufacturer in 2025? A, Specialized, B, Trek, C, Giant, or D, Pawn Holdings? They're stumped. They're thinking. Correct. C, Giant.
Giant for a reason.
Yeah. All right. Which e-bike weighs the least? A, Roadster V3, B, Electric XP Lite 2, C, Aventon Solterra 2.5, or D, the Utopia Carbon 1 step-through? Is it Utopia or Eurotopia?
Urtopia.
Eurotopia.
Maybe.
He must have spell check on. Maybe changed it.
Gotcha.
Wait, hang on. Sorry.
People already know my answer. I'm already committed.
I
can put the Jeopardy music on if it helps.
Okay, I'm going with this. All right.
That is correct.
Good.
No.
Very
The
good.
Utopia Carbon 1 step-through weighs in at 41.5 pounds tested. Weight.
Nice.
Oh, with the battery included.
Cool.
Oh, he also has a quick note.
Quick note.
All of these e-bikes weigh under 50 pounds.
Yes.
That is true.
The XP Lite is the heaviest of the four.
So those were actually all really close in weight, probably.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, this is a thinker for sure.
Kudos to you guys.
Thanks.
All right, what
Still
month?
coming for you, Griffin. Hot on your heels.
I mean, I'm in the lead here, John.
By one.
Oh,
A
by
single
one.
I'll take the victory, however big the margin.
Okay, what month and year did Lectric sell its 500,000th e-bike? A, June 2025, B, November 2024, C, August 2023, or D, March 2024? John's got his I don't know face on.
It's real close between two, so I'm gonna go this one. Which means
Do you need me to read them again?
No.
Nope.
Okay. You are both incorrect.
What?
The
What?
answer is B, November 2024.
Dang it.
Really?
Was that your other one, John?
Darn it.
I think my other one was C.
Oh, so you were wrong no matter what.
Well, as long as we're both wrong, I maintain my lead. That's
Yeah.
all that matters.
One
You
point,
got one
Griffin.
more, John.
Just one.
One
Okay.
more. What do we do for a tie? Do you guys both have to wear a helmet?
We arm wrestle.
Oh, okay.
I got you,
All right.
Griffin.
Okay.
Cherry pick and choose your
Final
bad race.
question. Which e-bike has a higher min power range test? A, Velotric Discover 2, B, Cicada Touring, C, Ride One Up Vorsa, or D, Aventon Abound SR?
Will those one more time?
A, Velotric Discover 2,
Okay.
B, Cicada Touring, C, Ride One Up Vorsa, or D, Aventon Abound SR?
Okay. I have an advantage here.
What?
Oh, snap. Oh, snap. It's a tie. John got it right. B, the Cicada Touring
man.
comes in
Yeah.
at 121.
I'm currently reviewing
Literally
that
on that
bike.
review. I haven't
Yeah.
checked the database since he started it. That's what?
Snap. What are we
Rude.
doing? A tie?
Yeah.
Do I need to come up with a rando question? Oh, wait, I can't do that.
Let's just put the helmet
It's
here.
fine. It'll
Yeah.
rest on the table for the next round, and we'll declare a victor on the next time. But how
Alright.
did you guys do following along? Let us know down in the comments below.
All right, it's time for the weekly peek behind the curtain here. So once again, we have not received anything new in the world of e-bikes, but we did have a couple things go live. Those were both your reviews, Griffin. So you want to walk us through those?
Sure thing. So we had the Urtopia Carbon Classic go live. Now this was a really awesome bike because Urtopia made waves like originally with like the AI like powered e-bike and stuff like that. They had the unique dot matrix display thing, and then they kind of just came out with a different bike that's like, well, what if we pare it down a little bit and just focus on like the bike? And that's exactly what you're getting here. It's really lightweight carbon, very affordable too, around like $2,000. Still got really good peppy motor. You can really cruise nice and easily on flats. Good handling to it as well. So for those who don't need the bells and whistles or the cutting edge, AI, whatever, this is going to be the bike for you. It just keeps all the other benefits and keeps the focus there.
And adds a throttle, right?
Yeah, indeed it does.
Yeah.
And then we also had the Saris Freedom bike hitch rack go live. So this one is like an intentionally kind of like feature light rack. The main focus here was Saris giving a very affordable option. It's one of the cheapest racks they produce at about $500. And then it's very lightweight as well. One of my personal favorite things about it, I've tested like a dozen or more racks at this point, and it's like the easiest one to install and to take off just by myself, and it comes with an adapter anyway, so it's good for 1 1/4 or 2-inch hitch receivers. So it's straightforward and functional, and again, if you're looking for something lightweight and easy to manage, then take a look at that review as well.
Sounds like it gives you a lot of freedom living up to its name. Very
This
good.
episode would not be complete without at least one John pun.
I got to keep those coming for sure.
That's right.
In any case, make sure you're subscribed so you can keep up to date on all of our new content. All right, each episode we like to highlight a e-bike friendly location around the country, sometimes the world. Maybe there's just a good trail, maybe there's some cool e-bike friendly infrastructure, but this week we're doing things a little bit different. I've only done this a couple times. We actually got a recommendation from last week's episode of the show from a viewer. That person's screen name is Rick Hexel7438, and Rick said, I know you talk about bike paths. I think that you should look at Natchez Trace Parkway. The trace goes between Natchez, Mississippi and Nashville, Tennessee. The trace is 442 miles, limited to 50 miles per hour. Limited access and commercial vehicles are prohibited. Rode the trace in mid-October, and the road surface is very good quality. I think this is a must-ride for any road cyclist. So, Griffin, you did some research.
I sure did. So first of all, thank you, Rick, for the suggestion. This was actually a pretty cool thing to learn a little bit more about it. Just a lot of stuff going on here. So it does span through 3 states, as John mentioned, going from Natchez, Mississippi through Alabama up to Nashville, Tennessee. So it combines just a whole bunch of different cool sites. It's got some scenic, peaceful riding with historic interest and moderate terrain overall. And it's unique because it's got kind of varies depending on your source, 440 to 444 miles of road designated by the National Park Service as a bicycle route. So now, to be clear, it's a parkway, so you're actually sharing the road with vehicles, but there is some built-in advantage for cyclists. There are signs found throughout the entire thing informing drivers to share the road with cyclists, and vehicle traffic is limited to 50 miles per hour, so making it just a little less intimidating when you're sharing the road.
That's still pretty fast.
There's also like bathroom stops roughly every 20 miles or so along that entire span. So again, pretty like friendly for cyclists, especially when you need a pit stop.
That's good.
So a couple of cool like things that you can see and do, which we'll touch on a little bit more in depth later. There's like some like stops where you can go look at some really cool old like Victorian style like plantation home things. There is like this sunken road from the original Natchez. There's like Civil War battlefields. There's just like lots of really cool stuff you can go out and see, Some
cool history.
Yeah, for sure. So more perks for roadies wanting to do it all. There are cycle-friendly bed and breakfasts and campgrounds. So, for example, the Linden Bed and Breakfast looked really cool, old world plantation-looking home. Just look at the pictures here, John. It just looks really awesome type of place you'd want to see. It's got lots of history built in.
Gigantic, yeah.
There's also like the Witch Dance Campground, which I'm sure you don't actually have to join a black magic cult to enjoy, but if you are a cyclist, this is a campground dedicated just for cyclists, so pretty cool here. Some other cool stops along the way include some waterfalls. So I'm always a big fan of those. So there's the Jackson Falls near milepost 404. This is one of the 2 waterfalls, of course, in the Natchez Trace Parkway. But you can see like you continue down like 900 feet of paved road to the waterfall. The water from the waterfall feeds into the Duck River, which will lead to the Tennessee River. Then there is, thank you. There is also the Fall Hollow waterfall at milepost 392. So this one is also pretty cool because it's got, once you leave your vehicle, you can hear the water descending over the 20-foot drop, making it, like a really cool waterfall to check out. Again, just really cool pictures here to see. Slippery kind of like moisture area, of course, so approach it with caution, but overall it just looks really cool. Now the Natchez Trace Parkway actually has a cool bit of history as well. This was actually a popular corridor dating back to Native American times that they used for centuries. As American and European came along, they also used this, and a lot of like the houses along the way kind of got established as helping travelers make it through some way stations and inns and stuff to stop at. And then this particular stretch of road is kind of honoring roughly the same original path, but again, just tons of really cool history that you can kind of pop off and see in different places. Or history buff, the Civil War battlefields, or something worth checking out. But all in all, like I said, this was just a really good recommendation from Rick. I actually reached out to my brother who lives in Nashville, Tennessee. He is a big roadie himself, and he said he's done about the 40 miles that connect over at Nashville. He reported the same thing. Really cool, scenic place to ride. All in all, just cool sights. More mild vibes. You can share a huge stretch of road with National Park, certified, I guess. I don't know what you want to say there, but all in all, looks like a really cool recommendation.
Yeah, agreed. I'm a big sucker for history, so this looks cool. The Jackson Waterfall looks great as well. Wow, this is awesome. So good find, Griffin. Thank you, Rick, for the recommendation. We're always open to feedback on this sort of thing or input from you guys. So if you've ridden this trail, let us know how you liked it. And if there's anything in your area or a path that you've ridden that you want us to talk about, be sure to let us know down in the comment section, or you can email us at questions@electricbikereport.com. All right, let's jump into today's Q&A section. So as I referenced earlier, we've got a lot of e-bike recommendations coming up. So if you're interested in that stuff, stick around. But our first question here is a little bit different. This comes to us from a frequent commenter, Gary XT5N, on episode 54 of the show. He said, this may seem like a dumb question, but I'll ask anyway since I don't know the answer. At 40 minutes and 43 seconds, you talked about Slime and or Tannus armor to help with flat prevention. Is Slime meant for tires with inner tubes or tubeless tires? Also, which do you think is better, Slime or FlatOut? Thank you.
This is actually a great question. It's not a dumb question at all. There's a lot of products out there. We don't know like everything about everything all the time. You learn by asking questions.
Exactly.
So happy to jump into this one. So regular Slime is intended for use with inner tubes. The company does make a product specifically for tubeless setups. So with Slime, you essentially pop out the valve core of the tube, put that in there, seal it back up, inflate it, and then if you do get like a thorn or some sort of like puncture, the Slime will go in there, kind of like fill that in so you don't have the air seep out of it. And then their sealant product works similarly to any tubeless setup, which is just you have the excuse me, like the sealants consist of like latex mixed with solvent. So when you get holes in the tire, again, the latex fills in there and solvent evaporates, leaving the latex sealing the punctures that way. Yep. So our team has tested both Slime and FlatOut. But we have more experience with Slime, in all honesty, and we've used this in all of the tires of our test bikes, and the number of flats we've experienced has been cut down drastically. John and I were actually talking about it. It's like, do you remember like range testing and how frequently we got calls from the range tester saying, "Hey, sorry, I got a flat and I need to pick up"? Like
we have both also been out there, and
it was a weekly or twice a week occurrence. It felt like, and we've had that happen as well. And then once we started putting Slime in every one of the test bikes that we get in, like, it has drastically cut that down to dang near zero, in all honesty. So Slime, we're big fans of that. We could recommend that. And FlatOut, not as much.
Hashtag not a sponsor.
Hashtag not a sponsor. Yeah, this is just us. I mean, we're just telling you what we use. But
yeah,
hey, if they want to sponsor us, we're always listening, Slime.
Agreed. Yeah.
Anywho, so FlatOut might work better for folks who don't live in the desert, where tons of plants have spiky things and find their way into your tires. It hasn't been as successful as Slime for our team members who have used it. But again, both are out there. We just steer you towards Slime.
I like to think of living in the desert as like everything wants your water, so it has pokey things to get.
Pokey things.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
Leak out. Yep. All right, so our next question comes from TS3871 from the Electric XP Lite 2.0 YouTube video, who says, I am 6'4" with 220 pounds with a 34-inch inseam. So I realize this bike isn't the right size for me, but given I see so many people riding tiny compact e-bikes for city errands, I'm wondering if this would be okay for my 3-mile entirely flat commute to work. I was thinking 98% throttle only commuting. My main interest in this bike is due to the weight. I have a flight of 18 stairs to reach my apartment.
Good. Yeah. Good for throwing that out there. I mean, honestly, just looking at this and how you're planning to use this and, where you live and all of the factors here, I think this is going to be a great fit for you, to be honest. So the recommended height range for the XP Lite 2.0 is 4'8" to 6'2". That puts you, just slightly outside of that. And in most cases, you shouldn't have a whole lot of problem with that. But, with this bike in particular, as well as, many of Lectric's bikes over the years, they may look relatively small, but as far as their fit goes, like, they're very accommodating and I would say better than they look. And then in terms of weight, this is actually one of the lighter weight folding e-bikes that we've tested. It's under 50 pounds. I think it's 47.5 if I remember correctly, but that includes the weight of the battery, and you can always take the battery out to make the bike lighter and easier to lift up a flight of stairs. Now, if you were planning to pedal 98% of the time instead of throttling 98% of the time, you might have some slight discomfort just pedaling, but especially with how rarely you're looking at pedaling, I don't think it's going to be a problem. The throttle should work like a charm. When it comes to our testing, we typically only do throttle only range tests on moped style e-bikes, so not ones like this. But generally speaking, just as a rule, you can expect less range on throttle than we get in our high power range tests. So in this case, the XP Lite 2 went a little over 19 miles in PAS 5. So even if you end up with just half of that, your commute should still be covered, and then you should still have some range left over. So, and Griffin, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's also a long range version of the XP Lite 2. Is that correct?
If I remember right, yeah, I think they have the 2-bit different battery.
That's what I thought. So yeah, you could look at that as well. But yeah, we'll talk about this more later on, but Electric's got some good stuff going on right now with included accessories. And if I remember right, looking yesterday at their website, things are in the XP Lite 2. It comes with like fenders and a cargo rack, which just helps outfit it a little better. But anyway, moving on to speaking of Electric, a question on the Electric Express 750 review on YouTube from
Good luck.
Yep.
Avledoliviera.
We'll
put it on the screen. You guys can read it for yourself.
1086, something like that. Yeah, I apologize if I butchered your name. But anyway, this commenter says, I live in Vegas and I'm looking for an e-bike that can maintain consistent 28 miles per hour on my daily commute, which is around 6 miles each way, without too much pedaling effort so I don't arrive too sweaty. It is mostly flat with a 1.5 mile and around 1.1% incline. What would you recommend?
So honestly, you're going to have a pretty easy time with this. I would say like overall, there are several bikes that can easily get up to 28 miles per hour without a ton of rider input required. Yep. So we'll kind of like stick here on the video you're commenting on talking about Electric because their approach with recent models has been blending the feel of a torque and cadence sensor. Typically the higher PAS level you go, the more you kind of leave that torque feel and enter a little bit more cadence territory. It just becomes easier, but you still have that. If I push harder, it gives you more sensation, which is always nice. Mm-hmm. So I'd probably start with the the Express is a good one. You could look at that, but personally, I would lean towards the XP4 750. It is just super powerful, very comfortable, very well equipped, and just awesome value. You're looking at about $12.99 for that bike. Mm-hmm. John touched on it. The sales going on right now with Black Friday, so we'll look at that more later on. But again, just really good and easy time getting up to higher speeds there. The X-Peak 2.0, which is their fat tire e-bike, another one that's very powerful and it's very stable too. If you want, a little bit more of a comfort ride, it's going to be suitable for relatively rough off-roading as well. It's got some like nice safety standards passed on like the fork and stuff that they use. So if you want to get a little adventurous and go off-roading, you can do that as well on that bike. So another brand that kind of sprang to mind was Machwheel. They lean into very easy pedaling. They do have torque sensors, but similar to Electric, very easy time to activate that torque sensor, and the speeds can reach and sometimes slightly exceed 28 miles per hour. Sticking with like more of a commuter vibe, we've got the Tarmac sporty commuter, very low effort pedaling, and has a pretty cool look to it. We're actually like really impressed with the Tarmac.
Definitely.
That's the one with 29-inch tires too, if I remember right. So a little bit of a taller thing, but that's something I personally like. There's also the Basalt, their flagship fat tire. It's big, it's powerful, it's stable. It's even got that power station capability. So if you want to add on some of the accessories and run the inverter, you can actually take that thing camping with you. It can power some of your electronics and other devices. So again, just a cool bike with some optionality. And then the last brand that kind of jumped to mind for this question was Velotric. It's got a really wide range of highly customizable bikes. So there's a little bit like something for everybody, and there's a lot of tuning options you can kind of play with there. So the Discover 2 is one of their best models for sure. It's powerful, but it's also very comfortable, kind of like halfway between commuter and cruiser styling. It's got torque and cadence sensing modes that you can actually switch. So if you want, again, easy pedaling, I'd go into the cadence sensor mode. Just run that on high power. You're going to be doing fast speeds with very little effort. Mm-hmm. You can also get the Fold 1 Plus. So this is a lighter weight, like relatively for a folding bike, but it's got nice handling as well. And it has the cadence sensing models also. So honestly, any of those bikes are going to be good options. We think you can hit the speeds without working up too much of a sweat. We're going to leave links to all these bikes down in the video description. But again, there's just really a ton of options here. There's a lot of bikes that make 28 mile per hour riding very accessible. But I'd maybe start your search with these ones. And as always, if you do pick one of them, please let us know. We always love the follow-up.
Definitely.
All right, for our next question, this comes to us from 2RadJ from the last episode of the show, who says, great show. I need your advice. I am looking for an electric bike that's outside my recreational use, would be suitable to load and unload in the back seat area of an F-150 for commutes of up to 10-mile round trip in very hilly areas. I am not in great shape. I'm hoping to get that 10 miles out of 50% or less of the battery so I don't have to keep it fully charged or go to empty. I have been looking at electric scooters, but e-bikes seem more attractive because of size of the wheel, comfort, and pedals that act as range extenders and allow me to ride them in more places. I have tried the Urtopia Carbon 1 ST and love the power delivery, the weight at only 36 pounds, and the larger sprocket in the back for climbing hills. Despite the motor size, it seemed enough for slow climbs. I hated the display, but main concern was the small battery size, and I wonder if I regret not having a throttle. Also, it felt a bit small. I am 5'7" and 150 pounds. I love to get as much range and power as I can, but I'd rather not go over 50 pounds. On a side note, a faster charger to use in my truck, along with a more affordable second battery, could put my range anxiety to rest. What do you recommend? All right. First of all, thank you so much. It's very helpful to have that much like detail. Like some of these times we're like, shot in the dark. I'm going to make some assumptions, but this has lots of good qualifications. So, John here came up with a couple of bikes worth checking out.
Yeah, I just wanted to like kind of hit the list of sort of criteria here again. So let's see, we're looking at something that fits in the back seat area of an F-150. 10 basically gets 20 miles out of their entire battery or more. Something that has a throttle, something that has good battery capacity, range, and something that's not over 50 pounds. So that was a fair amount of criteria, and we kind of scratched our heads a little bit on this a little bit yesterday, just trying to come up with everything, something that met all of those points of criteria. And so again, we are kind of making some assumptions here. I think it's worth pointing out, like, I have to start with a caveat that I don't know the interior width of an F-150. And there really wasn't great information available online about that.
Usually like decent like area, especially I think the seats fold up or something like that. But again,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. In any case, like if we came up with two bikes and if these work, you might need to take off like the front wheel, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. So we've got a couple options here, again, on the lighter side. So this is the Trek FX Plus 1S and the Ride One Up Roadster V3. And also the regular Trek FX Plus 1 would be fine as well. The only distinction is 20 and 28 miles per hour between the non-S and S models. But anyway, so yeah, both have powerful motors, respectable battery size and range. They both have torque sensors for responsive power delivery, so they will feel pretty similar to the Airtopia that you tested there. They both have great climbing capability for their category, and they both weigh under 50 pounds, so we're checking at least most of the boxes here. So I'll give you a couple just takeaways from each bike here. So the FX Plus 1S, we got 30 and 52 miles of range with the bike's non-removable 520 watt-hour battery. So you can't take it out. You can't, put a new one in, but it is relatively high capacity. The only city e-bike with a throttle to complete our hill test, which is a very big deal, especially coming from, a bike with a 500 watt motor. Like that's pretty impressive. This bike also has a relatively fast charger. So it's a Trek's EasyMag charger. It has 2.7 amps of output. And then it just connects really easily. There's a charge ring indicator on the actual charger, so you can mount it on the wall and actually see how charged your bike is.
It's a pretty cool looking charger.
It definitely is. And then it also pairs with the Trek Central app, the bike and So the app contains some battery life extension features that kind of tie in a little bit with the charger there. The bike has pretty easy and relaxed pedaling. It kind of is similar to the bike that we were looking at just previously, where you don't have to put a lot of effort to get a lot of return from the motor. But then other cool things that the Trek Central app does there's you can get navigation. There's the GPS map. It actually gives you like a visual representation of how far you can travel on your current charge. They call that the range cloud, which is pretty cool. And then this is one of Trek's more affordable bikes. It did go up a little bit in price recently, but it is right around $2,100. So then the other recommendation, the Ride One Up Roadster V3, that one has, I would say, a little bit more of an active feel. Very responsive pedal assist system, very powerful motor. One of our favorite bikes from the past year.
Required a little bit more input, but you get like greater output.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Good clarification there. So that one was a little bit lower in range, but there's a caveat here. So we got 17 and 49 miles of range. So that was a removable 360 watt-hour battery. So you would, in theory, be able to get an additional one and swap that out if you have that range anxiety. This one, again, one of our fastest hill test results when it comes to pedaling for the category. And then this one is interesting because there's both a chain and a belt drive version, but Ride One Up actually just released a version with a chain drive that also has a suspension fork, so that would give you a little bit more comfort on the ride. We haven't had our hands on that version of the bike yet, but fingers crossed we get that soon. And then this one is a little bit more affordable as well, so it's between $1,400 and $1,500 depending on the drivetrain and suspension option that you choose there. So I did talking earlier about maybe taking the front wheel off if you need to for the F-150. Neither of these bikes has a quick release front wheel, unfortunately, but they do have through axles, so that makes the handling very crisp, and the overall stability of the bike feel very good. So yeah, hopefully those options work for you. If you don't find that those do work, then give us more information. We're happy to keep digging and help you find something, but that applies to anyone. We're part of our job, part of why we do what we do. We like helping you guys. We like steering you towards the bike that really fits your situation, your budget, what you're looking for. So yeah, always feel free to reach out to us, and we're happy to point you in a direction. Just like this question is a good example of, the more detail that we can get about your situation, the better.
Absolutely. But that's going to do it for this week's questions. All right, everyone's favorite section where John and I save you money. That's right, we're talking deals of the week. Deals of the week. All right, and the concept of Black Friday is dead. We are officially in Black November. The e-bike industry is just starting all the sales early, so we've got a lot to talk about. We'll give you the highlights and a couple of bikes we like, but we'll kind of move through this one a little bit quicker. So, John, want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about Lectric's Black Friday deals. So there's total savings up to $800, but as always, most of that is going to be in the form of included accessories with the bikes. So the one that jumped out to me is the Express 750. So that is the standard $12.99 price, but it comes with fenders, a cargo rack, side mirrors, a suspension seat post, and some other things. So just as it shows up at your door, it's very well equipped.
Absolutely. Next one up is Haybike. They've got deals ranging up to $800 off. One that caught my eye was the Ranger S, which is their very powerful folding bike. Looks really cool too, with some mag wheels. That one's now $400 off, $14.99 down to $10.99. So.
Nice. Next up is Venton's Black Friday deals. So they've got up to $500 off, but the things that stood out to me the most were the Adventure 3 and Level 3 are both $200 off. So those are the newest iterations of those bikes, and they are both among our highest rated e-bikes in each the Fat Tire and Commuter styles, but also just across the board. And
next we have Velitrix Black Friday sale. So they're taking up to $600 off select models. So savings on the company's best-selling bikes comes in the form of accessories. The Discover 2 Commuter and Cruiser Hybrid is $100 off and includes a suspension seat post valued at $120. So one of their top-rated bikes gets a little more comfort and more affordability.
Nice, yes. Next up, we have Rad Power Bikes Rad Deals. So there's up to $600 off there. So some of the bikes include free accessories worth around $200, while other bikes actually have bigger markdowns. And the one that jumped out to me here is the Rad Rover 6 Plus. This is, a little bit of an older model, but it's $1,000, making it just one of the most affordable bikes of its size and style. Plus, you're getting that trademark Rad Power Bikes approachability and quality and reliability. So.
Absolutely. And then the last one we'll touch on today is Mock Wheels Black Friday sale with bikes as low as $899, which is just kind of bonkers.
That is.
But one that caught our eye was the Obsidian. They're all-terrain behemoth. That e-bike is going for just $1,900 right now with tons of power, good range, all that good stuff you want in an off-roader. And then another one that actually caught our eye too was the Asphalt ST, which is a city cruiser commuter hybrid. $1,300 on that one. Not enough love is, I think, the direct quote from John.
It is like, bike. I reviewed that bike quite a while ago, and I feel like it doesn't come up enough. It's a really good bike. So yeah, if you're interested in any of that stuff, we'll leave links down in the video description. All right, each and every week we like to show our appreciation for you guys, our audience, by picking one member who has commented on a recent review or episode of this show. So who do we have in our highlight this week, Griffin?
So this week is a comment on the best e-bikes for seniors from KWI1F. Short, sweet, to the point, but I liked it. I appreciate people just sharing their input. So. Yeah. This person says, I'm 69 and just bought an Adventure 3 step through. It's a Fat Tire bike and it is heavy at 77 pounds, but I like it. They do have racks where you can roll up the bike onto the rack so you don't have to lift it, which at some point I'll probably buy. Again, the Event Adventure is one of the e-bikes that I have recommended the most. And usually the biggest downside is like, well, it's kind of like heavy, but it's like, again, if you can manage that and like handle it when you're riding it, trust me, don't really notice the weight too much. And just a really good, fun, powerful ride. Kind of like you said before, it's one of the most highly recommended e-bikes that we have. So again, thank you so much for sharing. Make sure to share your comments, what you're riding, or, you know, just some experiences you've had on the e-bike, and we will shout you out on the show.
As always, if you have stuck around this long, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hang out with Griffin and I as we talk about bikes and cool places around the country and the news and all the other stuff that we cover. As a reminder, you can listen to us if you do prefer that instead of watching. There's podcasts on Apple Music and Spotify. And, you know, as always, we look forward to hearing more from you guys. We love interacting with you. So leave us all of your questions and comments.
That's right. We'll be back next week diving into all that. But that'll do it for this episode of the Weekly Recharge.
We have tons of e-bike recommendations in the Q&A. Q&A section of this week's episode. Of the Trace goes between Natchez, MS, I assume that's Missouri, Mississippi, and Nashville, Tennessee. Let's just restart this section.
Did you not learn your postal code like designations? Come on, man.
What?
My bad.
Okay, what are those dates again?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, 500,000th e-bike. I'm going to read that one over. Bruno, cut that out.